This show is brought to you by the Genesis Communications Network, a world leader in talk radio since 1998. Visit GCNlive.com today.
The stocks discussed on Wall Street Raw are not in any way a recommendation or solicitation to buy, sell, or hold. If considering on acting on information, we first recommend you seek out a competent, licensed professional for advice.
What kingdom has sent you?
The kingdom of the Most High.
Nothing you have ever experienced can prepare you for the unbridled carnage you're about to witness. Super Bowl, the World Series, they don't know what pressure is. In this building, it's either kill or be killed. You make no friends in the pits and you take no prisoners. 1 minute, you're up $500,000 in soybeans, and the next, boom, your kids don't go to college and they've repossessed your Bentley. Are you with me?
The Genesis Communication Network is proud to bring you Wall Street Raw with nationally recognized market timer and previous Wall Street Week elf, Mark Leibovit, welcoming you on board his financial time machine. And here is the elf himself, Mark Leibovit.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's Saturday, June 11th, and welcome to us here at Wall Street Raw. You have all the choices on a Saturday morning, and I'm happy that you decided to tune in to listen to our program. No other day like today, and news unique today as well. A lot of stuff going on Wall Street and the world. We have a Fed meeting coming up this coming week. Everybody's been talking about that for several weeks. We have the Brexit, potential exit of Britain from the ECB the following week. So just a lot of interesting stories, including the fact the markets have been rallying in the face of still pretty much bad news out there. And it gets down to the old story of manipulation, where the agenda has been to push the indexes higher, perhaps even to all-time highs, and then the plug is pulled and the market starts to pull back. Basically between the middle of June and the first half of July is what is commonly called a buyback vacuum, because companies cannot do buybacks ahead of earnings announcements, so that removes some support for the market. So it would be a good time for a correction to begin. A lot of people leaning to the theory that the Brexit would be a negative event, and we're not so sure about that. The current poll says about 55% of Britons like to see Britain exit the European Economic Union, but it may not be, because all the trade agreements that are currently in place with the EU would not end, and many of those trade agreements are still beneficial. So it may not be. It may be a non-event in terms of the anxiety, and market could have been climbing, as Joe Granville used to say many, many years ago, a wall of worry, where the negative news actually confirms the short-term uptrend. But as you know, I've been more on the cautious side. Sell may go away this time of year. It can become very volatile. The market has been stronger than I anticipated in the last couple months, no question about it. We've had a big nosedives, as you know, last August and again into February. We took off to the upside again and virtually kissed new all-time highs this past week, with the S&P touching that 2120 area and the Dow just trading over 18,000 intraday briefly. But I think the party, is going to end here for a lot of reasons. Maybe there'll be one more surge here following the Fed not raising rates this coming week, and maybe the Brexit event may not be interpreted as negatively when, assuming it occurs, the week following. But generally, you get a big pullback into September, October. A lot of volatility related to the election, of course, and a lot of civil unrest and social unrest going on out there. A lot of things could happen. So, perhaps after the election, there might be a stronger bullish case once all the news is sort of out of the way. So we're sort of leaning to that direction. Still be cautious into the fall. There are a lot of trading opportunities. Bonds have been strong, as I've been predicting during this period, and a big standout this past week was a big surge surge to the upside in Bitcoin. Many of you may not follow it that carefully, but it had a nice recovery rally getting up to around the 590 level. Bitcoin, as you recall, is that digital currency, traded as high as 1,200 in the last 3 years, and pulled all the way down to about $200. And now we're starting to rally again. That might be a sign of, concern and anxiety about what's going on in the world and trying to put your money into other places. And of course, the rally we've seen in gold. Couple rallies in gold. The first one took us up from the 1040 area around December all the way up to about 1304. Then we pulled back to about 1200, and now we're in the mid to high 1200s. That's certainly a reflection of that anxiety out there. And there's probably more coming over the next 3 years in gold, in my opinion, and a lot of reasons for that, of course. As you know, a lot of interesting events going on. We're going to talk about that in just a moment with my good friend Sinclair Noe, who will be a guest with us coming up here on segment 2. And speaking of guests, I have another special guest for us today, an old friend of mine, Ray Merriman, who is a financial astrologer. We had my other good friend, Arch Crawford, on several weeks ago, but Ray's been doing this about 35 years, also a technical analyst. So we're going to have a couple segments with Ray this morning and learn a little bit about what he's thinking and what the markets are doing. Speaking of some events coming up, and I want to mention this, we'll mention this periodically here in the coming weeks and months. A friend of mine, Stephanie Kammerman, who I had as a guest on this program a few weeks ago, you may recall her singing on the show. We had a little bit of a recording of her. She has a website called The Stock Whisperer. Well, she's putting together a cruise, and I'm going to be one of the keynote speakers on that cruise. It's a year away. It's not this summer, believe it or not. It's July 9th, 2017. But we're starting to put that cruise together, and there's a bit of a discount, significant discount for getting involved if you want to sign up for it. So I'm going to be on the cruise. I'm going to have my friend Harry Boxer on the cruise, my old friend Jeffrey Hirsch on the cruise, and it's an Alaskan cruise, and it's July 9th, 2017. So if you want more information on that and to sign up and get a bit of a discount, go to swtcruise.com. That's Sam, W as in Walter, T as in Tom, cruise.com, and you'll read about it. And if you have some interest, this would be a good time to consider signing up for it. swtcruise.com for that upcoming cruise that we are planning. Meanwhile, one of the big stories this past week was the fact that the European Central Bank is now out there buying corporate bonds. It's really, incredible, not only from the portfolio banks, but from companies directly. Imagine the Federal Reserve, which, by the way, they've done indirectly and directly already, going into the market and buying bonds of any publicly traded company. It could be Starbucks, it could be Harley Davidson, could be, of course, big companies like General Electric. So you've got the European Central Bank buying bonds now, and this is, ultimate in money printing, in my opinion. I mean, we're getting down to the point where, is there really a free market anymore, or is the government just supporting the markets everywhere? We know, for example, and we've talked about this ad nauseum on the program, we got Japan and China outwardly in the market buying stocks to support stocks, and we know that it's happening here in the U.S., but it's not discussed. It's swept under the rug, but we do have the Plunge Protection Team, which was created by the Ronald Reagan Working Group of Financial Markets Presidential Executive Order back in 1988. So you got Japan and China buying stocks. Now you've got Europe buying corporate bonds, anything to support the markets. And the real question is, how long can this go on? Will it be forever? Can they just print forever and ever? And maybe this is the way to keep markets up. This is a way to avoid, quote-unquote, blood in the streets. Support the markets as long as you need to and do whatever it takes. And, it's all electronic, and as long as they drive prices up, I guess people are happy. So we'll try to keep you happy on the show, too, and we're going to talk to Sinclair in just a moment, so stay tuned, and thanks for joining us on Wall Street Raw.
You're listening to Wall Street Raw with Mark Leibovit. Go to WallStreetRawRadio.com for information on Mark's newsletters and products. Stay tuned. Mark will be right back.
hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow, a new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a Select Quote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I impartially shopped the highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $26 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 1-800-403-4885. That's 1-800-403-4885. 1-800-403-4885. Or go to SelectQuote.com. We shop. You save. Get full details in the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
This is David Cordani, CEO of Cigna. For more than 20 years, Cigna has worked with the March of Dimes to address premature births in the U.S. Premature births cause horrible suffering and cost billions of dollars each year. That's why Cigna is committed to raising funds and awareness through our employees, family, and friends to improve the health of moms and babies. Please join us in supporting the March for Babies. Start your team today at marchforbabies.org.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
Hi, this is Ron Paul. I'm a former 22-year congressman and Republican presidential candidate. I'm here to tell you about something that just might save your lives. You never know when there will be another Katrina, an economic collapse, or a serious drought. We should all have a little food storage that will carry us through tough times. I'm going to tell you about a great way to do that. A U.S. company named Harvest Right has a kitchen appliance that can help you be prepared. It's a home freeze dryer. With the product, you can preserve the foods your family loves. And the best part is the food will last 25 years and still taste great. I've tried it, and it's amazing. With a home freeze dryer from Harvest Right, you can literally freeze dry anything you eat, even things like ice cream. To learn more, call Harvest Right today at 800-594-4635 or go to harvestright.com. That's 800-594-4635 or harvestright.com.
This is Dan Pilla. Do you owe the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands, and I can help you too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement, and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hopeless case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX to finally get free of IRS debt. With the IRS's new programs, there's never been a better time to solve your problem. Call 800-34-NO-TAX. That's 800-34-NO-TAX or my website, danpilla.com.
Keep the change. Think positive. Never show any sign of weakness. Always go for the throat. Buy low, sell high. Fear, that's the other guy's problem.
Welcome back to the Wall Street Raw Radio Show with Mark Leibovit, your time machine for the financial markets. Want to know more? Go to WallStreetRawRadio.com. Now, here's the elf himself, Mark Leibovit.
Welcoming back my very special guest, Sinclair Noe from EatTheBankers.com and financial commentator KFNN 1510 Phoenix on this Saturday morning. Sinclair, thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning, Mark. Always a pleasure.
Well, Sinclair, we've got a lot of interesting things going on as usual. The big story will be next week, the Brexit vote, I believe, or is it the following week? Did I lose track of time? Is it the 23rd?
Next week is the FOMC meeting, followed a week later by the Brexit vote. And, of course, we got a little hint on both of those. This past week, Fed Chair Janet Yellen delivered a speech in Philadelphia, I believe it was, earlier in the week. And that's the last that we'll hear from any of the Fed policymakers before the June 14th, 15th FOMC meeting. And she seemed to take a little, I'm not sure what she said, quite frankly. She didn't tell us anything definitive. But it seemed as if she was taking a June rate hike off the table. At least that's certainly what the markets were saying. And we saw the markets responding to that. They think there's about a 2% chance of a June rate hike now. July, last numbers I've seen, put it close to about 27, 28%. And the markets responded initially as if this was some kind of good news. Stocks were going up because investors believe the economy is in such bad shape that the Fed can't take the risk of increasing interest rates even by a marginal amount. I fail to see how that's particularly great news, but there you have it. At least it lasted for a couple of days, and then, of course, we had a bit of a sell-off on Friday. I still think we're going into a really difficult time here. We've wrapped up a horrible earnings season. Valuations remain expensive. We're moving into a seasonally weak time period. The yield curve is flattening. Volume is weak. The bullish case for this market is tenuous at best, I think.
Well, the Fed is following the old pattern of threatening interest rate hikes and not following through, and it's always perverse how suddenly some event, whether it's a decline in the market or some extraneous news story like this 38,000 jobs report on Friday, suddenly materializes. And, of course, we do have political considerations with an election coming up, so I'm just wondering if they're really going to be doing anything until after the election. But we'll find out, that's for sure.
You've got to think that's a possibility, but then there's also a slim chance the Fed might just say, okay, we're going to raise rates. We'll show you who's in control and show you can't fight the Fed anymore. I'm not counting on that, but still.
One of the bigger stories, we talked about this a little bit last week, which is really interesting. We don't get a lot of coverage here in the U.S. press, but we have the ECB now buying corporate bonds. And, we have the story, of course, that Japan and China out there buying stocks to support their markets. We know what's happening here in the U.S., but there's no coverage at all or reporting or investigation with the plunge protection team. And now we have Europe buying corporate bonds, for example. I believe the story was they bought some Anheuser-Busch bonds and Siemens bonds and Renault bonds this past week, or about to buy them. It's just incredible that we have the central bankers in the equity markets now completely out of their area of authority, supposedly. And I'm sure it's going to be happening here in the U.S. if it's happening in Japan, China, and now Europe.
Well, of course, it's pushing rates down significantly. And the average yield on investment-grade company notes in euros dropping to about 1% this week. The German 10-year Bund is just barely hanging on at slightly positive, and by that I mean just a tiny fraction of a percentage point. It brings up a real interesting point, though. That essentially they've run out of sovereign debt to buy. That's why they're going over to corporate, at least part of the reason. And it raises the question, well, whose debt are they going to buy? We've heard some names, Anheuser-Busch, Siemens, Renault, Telefonica, some big names in Europe, certainly. But how do you pick these companies? And which ones do you say, nah, that one's not good enough? I know they're looking at investment-grade company notes, but it's not like they're going to buy all investment-grade company notes. And really, what is the cutoff line? How do you pick the winners and the losers here? And who gets this next to free money? And what does that mean as well for where people are going to find any kind of return? One of the crazy things this week, Commerzbank, one of Germany's biggest banks, all of a sudden says, we may just not be parking money with the ECB anymore. We don't want to pay negative interest rates. We don't want to pay to store money in ECB vaults. We might just keep it in our own vaults and not pay them. That's not the intent. Hoarding cash was not the intent of the ECB, but right now they can't figure out how to make this thing work.
Just incredible what's going on in the financial world. If it happens here in the U.S., and it may already be happening, then we have taxpayers supporting the stock market in addition to the interest rate and QE programs. It's just really amazing. We know during the financial crisis, I believe the Freedom of Information Act was invoked with the Bloomberg suit, and I believe they found out at that time that the Fed was investing in Harley Davidson and some other companies, if I recall the story from a few years ago. So just extraordinary actions are being taken by the central banks. It's just over the top.
Investing in a lot of U.S. companies, yes, but also I think one of the more interesting things from the crisis was that they were investing in foreign banks and foreign businesses. Why they were doing that, I'm not real sure, but they did it.
It's just really wild out there, Sinclair. Thanks so much for joining us. I guess the bottom line is if the markets go up, everybody's happy. If the market goes down, then the complaints start. So if the Dow continues to go up or foreign markets go up, there won't be any blood in the street, so to speak. So we'll see how this all plays out. Sinclair Noe.
Yeah, it's going to be a wild summer.
Wild summer. Sinclair, thanks for joining us. Financial commentator, KFNN 1510 Phoenix, and author of the blog, EatTheBankers.com. Yeah, thank you, Sinclair. We're in an unprecedented area of central bank intervention. It started off simply enough in late 2008 and expanded dramatically in early 2009 when the Fed started buying debt instruments from their primary dealers. That was called QE1 to increase liquidity in the U.S. banking system. And this was followed by QE2, Operation Twist, and finally QE3, which ended in late 2014. The goal has been to improve the economy by what is termed the wealth effect, so higher asset prices, creating more consumer spending that would eventually trickle down to the rest of the economy. But that really all hasn't worked, has it? The consumer's a little smarter than that. They've been a little more defensive. Stay tuned. We're going to have my special guest, Ray Merriman, joining us after the break.
Go to WallStreetRawRadio.com for more information on Mark's newsletters and products. Stay tuned. Mark will be right back.
High-performance investors and traders use superior financial tools to achieve superior returns. You have that tool with Mark Leibovit, nationally renowned top market timer, legendary television Wall Street Week elf, and nightly business report market monitor, who shares with you his unique market tools and commentary at WallStreetRaw.com. At WallStreetRaw.com, Mark provides you with his latest ideas on how to help build and protect your wealth, help you avoid the next big market crash, and also stay healthy to enjoy your wealth. Mark has a special free gift for listeners of the Wall Street Raw radio show. Go to WallStreetRaw.com and sign up for his free weekly Vice News Raw report. While there, go ahead and sign up for his free Gold News Raw report. You will receive both weekly, and both are totally free. No credit card information is required. Sign up today for your free Vice News Raw and Gold News Raw reports at WallStreetRaw.com. That's WallStreetRaw.com.
Dangerous blood clot device alert. If you or a loved one had an IVC filter placed to prevent blood clots from traveling to your heart or lungs and suffered an injury, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. The FDA warns that IVC filters may cause serious complications, such as heart or lung damage, internal bleeding, and even death. These dangerous blood clot devices can break, and the metal fragments can travel to your heart or lungs, causing serious injuries. If you or a loved loved one suffered organ damage or other injuries from an IBC filter, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Act now. Time is limited to file a claim. For a free consultation and free information, call Injury Help Desk at 800-478-1507. 800-478-1507. 800-478-1507.
This is an advertisement. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. InjuryHelpDesk.com is responsible for this advertisement. Principal office, Las Vegas, Nevada.
Think about this. Your community's aging water infrastructure systems are very likely to be contaminated with heavy metals like lead, disinfection chemicals like ammonia, chlorine and chloramines, and pharmaceuticals like statins, pain meds, and antidepressants.
And no, water treatment plants are not equipped to filter these pharmaceutical toxins out.
Protect your family's water supply with the trusted Big Berkey water filter. New NSF EPA-certified lab tests show Big Berkey water filters remove chloramines, pharmaceuticals, BPA, pesticides, bacteria, and viruses, all forms of fluoride, and much more. Big Berkey water filters are the original and most trusted on the market, the gold standard in water purification, and our filters last for years at less than 2 cents per gallon. Big Berkey, the one powerful enough to purify stagnant pond water. Get your Big Berkey today. Call 1-877-99-BERKEY or click BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. That's 1-877-99-BERKEY. Big Berkey Water Filters, for the love of clean water.
This is a healthcare alert from the Pain Relief Hotline. If you, a family member, or a loved one suffers from knee, back, shoulder, or ankle pain and have Medicare as your primary insurance, we've got great news. You don't have to suffer any longer. You can immediately qualify for a pain-relieving brace at little or no cost to you by calling our 24/7 Pain Relief Hotline at 866-389-0620. Delivery is free and all paperwork is handled for you. If you are on Medicare and have knee, back, shoulder, or ankle pain, don't wait. You can qualify to immediately receive a pain-relieving brace at little or no cost by calling our 24/7 Pain Hotline now at 866-389-0620. Our representatives are standing by 24/7 to take your call and rush you your pain-relieving brace at little or no cost to you. Shipping is free and all paperwork is handled for you. Just call 866-389-0620. That's 866-389-0620. Again, 866-389-0620.
Against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet anything that is thy neighbor.
Welcome back to Wall Street Raw. Want to know more about Wall Street Raw and the Leibovit VR newsletters? Go to WallStreetRawRadio.com.
Welcoming an old friend and very special guest to Wall Street Raw this morning, Ray Merriman. Ray is president of the Merriman Market Analyst, Inc. His monthly, weekly, and daily market reports have served traders throughout the world since 1981. In fact, I've known Ray since 1981. He has written several books on the correlation of financial markets to geocosmic studies, including the Gold Book, Geocosmic Correlations to Gold Prices in 1982, which was the first quantitative study conducted on the relationship of planetary mechanics to financial market prices. And from 1997 through 2011, he wrote 5-volume series on the Ultimate Book of Stock Market Timing. He also was author of Secrets of the Silver Trader, 2006, and the Merriman on Market Cycles, The Basics, 1994. In 2013, he launched MMTA, which is the Merriman Market Timing Academy, a 2-year instructional program on integrating the principles of cycle analysis, geocosmic studies, trend analysis, and technical analysis for the purpose of becoming a financial market timer. That's a lot, Ray. You got a big background. Thank you so much for joining us, and welcome to Wall Street Raw.
Well, thank you, Mark. Pleasure to be with you.
So our audience may not be familiar with financial astrology. And tell me as much as you can in the 4, 5, 6 minutes we have here, a little bit of a background of how you approach the markets and the kind of things that you look at and why our listeners should pay attention to planetary cycles.
Well, first of all, I'm a market timer. And as a market timer, the way I serve my clients is by identifying specific time bands when short-term trading opportunities arise. We call these critical reversal dates. So it's mainly for traders, although in the study of financial astrology, you can also identify longer-term turning points, but they require a bit of an orb, and they're more for investors and traders. So basically what I do, Mark, is I identify rhythmic cycles in financial markets. Like a lot of people are familiar with the 4-year stock market cycle based on the presidential election, which is about 85% accurate in the last century or so. So every 4 years, the market makes a high. Every 4 years, in the middle of the president's term, it usually makes a low. And so within that time band where you have the 4-year cycle low, we look for certain planetary combinations that come together in what we call aspects. And where those time bands overlap with the planetary cycles, when they overlap with the 4-year cycle, then that allows us to narrow the ideal date, the ideal period of time when the 4-year cycle bottoms. But most of my clients are traders. They're commodity traders, they're futures, they deal with options, they deal with short-term trades in the ETFs. And so the shorter-term planetary movements, when they come into aspect with each other, or the sun, moon, the lunar phases, they can be very helpful in identifying when those 3 to 4% reversals in many markets like gold, silver, stock market occur. So if we have a primary cycle coming due, which is an 18-week cycle, or one of its phases, which might be a 6-week cycle coming due, and in that time band we see one of these planetary clusters coming up, we can pinpoint that this is the ideal date for that market to top out or bottom and make a 4% or a greater reversal, give or take 3 trading days. And that's how I serve my clientele.
So if you're a trader, the forecasts are as related to planetary positions as the longer-term forecasts? They're all about the same, or give us a little more insight there?
Well, okay, you want to try to stay in the direction. As a trader, you want to stay in the direction of the longer-term cycle trend. So if the longer-term cycles are in the beginning stages, that's always bullish. I mean, once you get a long-term bottom in, the first 1/8 of a new cycle is bullish. So your strategy is always to buy corrective declines. And if you stay with that theory, then every cycle within the cycle, every phase of the cycle that makes the corrective decline, you're going to buy. And, of course, when you're late in the cycle, that's where the biggest and the most enduring or prolonged declines happen. So your primary strategy is going to be to sell rallies into these critical reversal dates. So, yeah, it's a matter of tying multiple time frames together. You want to look at the big cycle picture, and within the big cycle picture, you want to see when the phases of it are coming due. And you're either going to buy or sell at each of those phases, depending whether you're in the bullish phase or the bearish phase of the longer-term cycle. And then the critical reversal dates, which are based upon planetary positions, they help you identify specifically the particular day or the particular week to look to make that trade. Now, within that, too, we like to use technical studies. I mean, if you've got let's say we've got a critical reversal date coming up, and the market's going down into it, well, you'd like to see something like a volume reversal signal to go along, or some kind of oscillator signal that shows single line divergence. You want some kind of technical signal when you're in the time band that the astrology identifies as a reversal date to support taking that position. And then, of course, as a risk-adverse or risk management psychology, you want to make sure that you have a stop loss that protects you in case you're a little bit early in getting in that position. It hasn't quite bottomed or topped out yet.
Well, Ray, thank you for giving me
things together. We're using the cycles to give you a broad time band when a reversal is happening. Then we use the astrology or the lunar cycles to narrow that time band down. And then we're using technical studies to further give you the bullish or bearish trigger to give you the higher confidence it's time to go in and make that trade.
Ray, well, thank you for giving the volume reversal some credit in there. You're making me feel good already this morning.
With financial astrology, works well with cycle development.
So we're talking to Ray Merriman from the Merriman Market Analyst. Ray agreed to stay with us for another segment, and we're going to try to get into a little bit of discussion of the various markets and what's happening. Again, we're talking to Ray Merriman. For more information, by the way, on Ray's work, go to www.mmacycles.com. That's mmacycles.com. And we'll be back with Ray after the break. Stay tuned. Thank you, Ray, for joining us. And just as a quick reminder here, while we're taking a little break and Ray is getting ready for the next segment, if you missed any of these programs, you can go to GCNLive.com to pick up archives of other Wall Street Raw programs. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me at mark.vrtrader@gmail.com. The show is also available on iTunes. It's also delayed broadcast in a couple cities, so you might be hearing this program after Saturday morning. But again, if you do miss a show, go to GCNLive.com or iTunes to pick up a previous program. And want to again remind you about the cruise that we're starting to put together for a year out for July 9, 2017, as I mentioned in segment 1. If you want more information, there is a discount for getting in early, and we have a whole group of very excellent analysts on that cruise. And then I guess I'm not a tax accountant, but I presume since it's a business cruise, there could be a tax write-off involved here, so you should check with your CPA. Go to swtcruise.com, swtcruise.com. Stay tuned. We'll be back to you in just a moment.
You're listening to Wall Street Raw with Mark Leibovit. Go to WallStreetRawRadio.com for information on Mark's newsletters and products. Stay tuned. Mark will be right back.
High-performance investors and traders use superior financial tools to achieve superior returns. You have that tool with Mark Leibovit, nationally renowned top market timer, legendary television Wall Street Week elf, and nightly business report market monitor, who shares with you his unique market tools and commentary at WallStreetRaw.com. Here, Mark provides you with his latest ideas on how to help build and protect your wealth, help you avoid the next big market tsunami, and also stay healthy to enjoy your wealth. Mark has a special free gift for listeners of his Wall Street Raw radio show. Go to WallStreetRaw.com and sign up for his free Vice News Raw report. You will receive it weekly, and it is totally free. No credit card information is required, and no one will call. Sign up today for your free Vice News Raw report at WallStreetRaw.com. That's WallStreetRaw.com for your free weekly report from Mark Leibovit and WallStreetRaw.com.
Did you know a dirty CPAP system can make you sick? If you knew what could be growing in your mask and hose, you might not sleep so well. But now, SoClean.com has released the world's first and only automated CPAP cleaner and sanitizer. It kills 99.9% of all CPAP germs, and it's completely hands-free. For a limited time, you can try SoClean risk-free for 30 days. Just call 1-800-941-9796.
SoClean changed the CPAP experience for the better. My health has improved. It's simple to use, and I'm not worried about infections.
SoClean destroys CPAP bacteria, viruses, and germs, and it eliminates the daily hassle of washing your system by hand. There's no water, chemicals, or disassembly. Just pop in your mask, close the lid, and presto, your CPAP system is clean and fresh in minutes. Call SoClean.com to try it risk-free at home for 30 days. This is a limited-time offer, only available by calling 1-800-941-9796. That's 1-800-941-9796.
There's nothing more enticing and intoxicating than the finest meat cooking on an open flame. Freeze-dried meat from newharvest.com is U.S. grown, 100% all-natural with no extra fillers. Just grass-fed beef and free-range chicken guaranteed to stay fresh and delicious. Add New Harvest freeze-dried meats to your current food storage. You'll buy direct from the factory, not a third party, ensuring the best price and the highest quality. See all our products at newharvestfoods.com. That's newharvestfoods.com.
Are you worried about your mom or dad living alone in their house? Hi, I'm Joan London. Listen, I know how difficult it is to find senior care for someone you love. That's why I recommend a free service called A Place for Mom. They are the nation's largest senior living referral service. Call A Place for Mom today.
To receive free information on senior living communities in your area, call A Place for Mom at 1-800-704-6182.
A Place for Mom offers free one-on-one advice from local advisors and a personalized list of senior living communities you can visit. If you have questions about senior care for your mom or dad, there's a place for answers, A Place for Mom.
Call A Place for Mom in the next 10 minutes to get your free ebook on financing senior care as well as free information on senior living communities in your area. Call 1-800-704-6182. That's 1-800-704-6182.
This is an alert. If your business or church is building this year, you're about to pay more than you should. This could mean thousands of dollars more for your office, retail space, church, or warehouse. A General Steel building can save you as much as half the cost and time of similar conventional construction. And we're offering rebates of up to $20,000 to help you build today. Call General Steel for free information that could save you thousands. Call 866-91-STEEL. 866-91-STEEL. 866-91-STEEL.
Responsibility begins and ends with our partners and our shareholders, and that's it.
There is no freedom without the law.
Get it? Got it? Good.
Welcome back to Wall Street Raw and the final segment with Mark Leibovit. Now, here's the elf himself.
Welcome back, Ray Merriman, our special guest this Saturday morning, president of Merriman Market Analyst, a financial astrologer and market timer, an old friend, and I'm glad he could spend a few moments with us on our second segment this Saturday morning. Ray, we learned a little bit about the way you approach the cycle, short-term and long-term, and I'm sure our listeners will try to get some idea here of where you're thinking the key markets are, and with the presidential election coming up, and we have the Brexit exit risk supposedly in a week or two, and we got the FOMC potentially not raising rates, a lot of interesting stuff, and of course we got the old sell may go away theory out there that one may want to be defensive in the markets for the next few months. So let's see what we can cover in the next few minutes. Where are we on the major markets in your opinion?
Okay. Well, first of all, from a financial astrology point of view, the month of June is the most confusing probably of all months we've got this year. We're under what we call a Neptune retrograde, a Saturn square Neptune. There's a lot of Neptune stuff going on. The study of astrology, Neptune indicates misdirection of messages, distortion of messages. So you cannot believe what you read, hear, or see. Now, this has been going on quite a bit since Saturn first went into square to Neptune in November. It's going to continue through September. And what this means, Mark, is that every couple days, certainly every couple weeks, the sentiment, whether it's directed toward the markets, messages from the central banks, or the political polls, they're always changing. You know, a week ago, Donald Trump was way ahead in the polls. This week, he's fallen quite a bit. Next week, it could change again. This is all connected with this Saturn, Neptune, Jupiter, T-square immutable signs, of which June is the most pronounced month of all. So in terms of financial markets, this usually indicates markets are kind of paralyzed. They don't know. They don't know whether this is good news or bad news. The Federal Reserve Board and other central banks, are they going to lower their interest rates? Are they going to raise it, as they said? There's going to be mixed messages coming out. So you're going to see the markets continue to fluctuate quite a bit as investors try to digest what is the next move of the central banks and how is that going to affect the stock markets. Now, personally, I believe it's in the Fed's interest to do whatever they can to stimulate the economy and to stoke the stock market and home prices to go up so we create a wealth effect going into the election. There's no benefit, if we're looking for a political conspiracy here, for the Fed Reserve Board to want to see a Donald Trump presidency, especially since he's indicated that he would remove Janet Yellen. So they will do, I believe, whatever they can to support a booming economy and a higher stock market to take the biggest argument away as possible from Donald Trump to be the next president. And I believe that's why you're not seeing the market fall too hard. I mean, there can be 1 or 2 week declines here, but I don't think the Fed Reserve Board is going to tighten rates, raise rates again before the election. And because of that, I believe the stock market is going to continue up and make new highs. But, of course, it has to break that ceiling of the 18,100, 18,350 double top over the last 2 years.
Well, there's always outlier events, too, Ray, so we'll see if the Fed's the only factor here between now and the fall.
Well, yes, you got the Brexit, as you mentioned, too. That could also create a bit of not a bit, maybe a lot of distress, at least short-term, in the stock market. You know, the interesting thing about that, Mark, is this is happening in June. You may get a decision on the Brexit that isn't enforced. It may take 2 years for them to figure out how to actually exit if the voters approve an exit from the Eurozone. And in 2 years, they could change their mind again. So you got a lot of these disturbing outlier events that you mentioned that could cause some volatility in the market and certainly a lot of uncertainty about what's going to happen as a result of policies or decisions or political movements that take place.
On a bigger picture basis, do you think we're entering a continuation of a bull market phase for the next couple of years or a possible bear market?
No, I think this bull market is going to top out. I think it's going to top out within 3 months of January. So say sometime between maybe October and March, I expect this market to top out. And then I think there will be a substantial decline that will follow that. And I think that will correlate with, I think you're going to start seeing inflation tick up a little bit. I think it's ticking up now, and it's going to tick up more as we go past the election because I don't think they're going to do anything to really stop it. And so once that starts becoming more pronounced in the news cycles, I think then you'll see the Fed Reserve start being a little bit more aggressive in raising rates. But I don't think that's going to happen before the election.
Well, with your thought about inflation, then gold might be, again, in play for the next 3 years as well.
I think gold started making this move. You know, one thing we mentioned in our annual forecast book is when Jupiter's in Virgo, which is August of 2015 through September of 2016, there would be a long-term bottom in gold and silver, and it would reverse, and it would probably continue into 2018. So then we identified even further that when Mars went, just before it went to Scorpio, which was in mid-December, would be the time to buy gold. And the first leg up would continue into the first part of March, maybe the first week of March. And that was a pretty significant move from 1045 to, 1280 something. That was the biggest part of the move so far. Now, you're getting you've had a pullback here back to 1200. It's going back up again. If you look at a monthly chart in gold, you may remember, Mark, when we broke the all-time high of 850, when we broke that in 2007, we went up to about 1039, 1040 in early 2008. And then we fell back to 680. And then when we broke the 1040, we went all the way to 1920 over the next couple of years. That's all new territory. Then we came down. And you remember we spent a lot of time between 1520 and 1800. So that's filling that area in. But once we broke 1520, we went pretty much down to 1045 and between 1045 and 1300. What I'm trying to say is if we have a vacuum here between about 1300 and 1520, I think gold is going to go into that area in the next few months and it's going to spend quite some time there filling that vacuum between 1,300 and 1,520. So that's my target for gold. We're going to spend a lot of time between 1,300 and 1,520 if we can get above 1,300, which I think is very, very possible.
Ray, we just ran out of time, and that's a great forecast for you. Thanks so much. We're talking to Ray Merriman from the Merriman Market Analyst. For more information on Ray's work, and we'll have Ray back real soon, is at MMAcycles.com, www.MMAcycles.com. Ray, thank you so much for spending a few moments with us, and we'll have you back real soon. Thanks again.
You're welcome, Mark. Thank you for having me.
It's always a pleasure having Ray on the program, or my good old friend Arch Crawford. Again, most of the financial astrology I've encountered over the years is produced by gentlemen like Arch and Ray that combine conventional technical analysis along with it as well as bigger market cycles. So it's a coincident indicator. I first came across it when I was a floor trader on the Chicago Board Options Exchange many years ago, where floor traders were using lunar cycles and other stuff. And when you think about it, there's definitely correlations with the moon in terms of commodities and the tides, and it made a lot of sense to me that there might be extraneous forces at work. So definitely I'd like to stay in touch with these guys and just see what the overall scenario looks like. It was an interesting show having Ray on this week, and we certainly hope to have him back, and it was great having Sinclair join us briefly this week as well, and we'll try to always line up some interesting guests for you here at Wall Street Raw. And in summary, we've got the Fed meeting this coming week. Probably be a non-event. They probably won't do anything with the interest rates at all. And as Ray indicated, it may stay pretty much status quo until the election, because the goal of the banks is to inflate and keep the economies moving. So I think that's what's going to happen. My old friend Ed Hart from the Financial News Network used to close his show every week, and we're going to do the same here again. We will know in the fullness of time. Speak to you next week, and thanks for joining us on Wall Street Raw.
Thank you for listening to Wall Street Raw with nationally recognized market timer and previous Wall Street Week Elf, Mark Leibovit. If you missed any of today's show or to get in touch with Mark, please go to WallStreetRawRadio.com. Any stocks or investment discussed on Wall Street Raw are not in any way a recommendation or solicitation to buy, sell, or hold. We first recommend you seek out a licensed financial professional for advice. Go to WallStreetRawRadio.com for more information on Mark's newsletters and products.
High-performance investors and traders use superior financial tools to achieve superior returns. You have that tool with Mark Leibovit, nationally renowned top market timer, legendary television Wall Street Week elf, and nightly business report market monitor, who shares with you his unique market tools and commentary at WallStreetRaw.com. At WallStreetRaw.com, Mark provides you with his latest ideas on how to help build and protect your wealth, help you avoid the next big market crash, and also stay healthy to enjoy your wealth. Mark has a special free gift for listeners of the Wall Street Raw radio show. Go to WallStreetRaw.com and sign up for his free weekly Vice News Raw report. While there, go ahead and sign up for his free Gold News Raw report. You will receive both weekly, and both are totally free. No credit card information is required. Sign up today for your free Vice News Raw and Gold News Raw reports at WallStreetRaw.com. That's WallStreetRaw.com.
Are you worried about how dangerous the world has become? In these days of terrorist attacks, natural disasters, or even a future collapse, you need to be medically prepared to keep your family safe. I'm Joe Alton, MD of store.doomandbloom.net, where you'll find an entire line of uniquely designed medical kits and supplies for when help is not on the way. For everything from individual first aid kits to the ultimate family medical bag, go to store.doomandbloom.net today. That's store.doomandbloom.net. You'll be glad you did.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson Adam Pulaski of the Pulaski Law Firm with principal office in Houston, Texas is the attorney responsible for the content of this ad. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisement. Services may not be available in all states.
Attention Xarelto users. If you or a loved one took Xarelto and suffered a serious bleeding event, you may be entitled to financial compensation. Xarelto is a popular prescription blood thinner used to prevent blood clots and protect patients from strokes. These serious bleeding events have led to numerous cases of hospitalization and even death. Phone lines are open 24/7. Call 800-261-0937. That's 800-261-0937.